Preservation Board for January 7th, 2020. All right, first item up, roll call, Mr. Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Elizabeth Hausauer.
Here.
Eric Barkhurst, in case some of you know, but in case the rest of you didn't know, Mr. Barkhurst had to resign suddenly for, I guess, obligations out of state that were going to take away from his time here. So we'll be adding another person to, advertising for another spot.
Okay.
Kyra Lucas.
Present.
Danielle Massey, she indicated that she wouldn't be able to make it this evening. Michelle Hazen, she wasn't sure whether she'd be able to make it this evening or not. Bill Warner.
Here.
Nicole Nesberg.
Here.
Jay Reeves.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Okay. Next item up would be adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The announcement, Mr. Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Section 30-3.5 of the Land Development Code establishes the Historic Preservation Board, including its composition and duties and authority. The Historic Preservation Board procedures are set forth in Section 30-4.28G of the Land Development Code. Appeals of Historic Preservation Board decisions are to the City Commission and must be filed within 14 days from the date the decision by the Historic Preservation Board is reduced to writing and served by certified or registered mail. The appeal procedure is specified in Section 30-4.28G of the Land Development Code.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Next item up would be request to address the board for an item that's not already on the agenda. If you would, state your name and sign it.
Hi, I'm Megan Atwater. Hello, I'm Carolyn Weber.
Okay.
So we actually met with Jason yesterday. We've recently purchased several houses in the Pleasant Street area.
Right.
And so we're trying to rehab them, and this is our first soiree into this area. So we've rehabbed a few houses, but so we kind of want to just get an idea of what you guys are looking for so that we can make the process as smooth as possible. We're trying to, get permits as quickly as we can.
Sure.
So if at all possible, not have to be approved by the board. I don't know if there's a way that can happen or not, if we use specific materials or, what we can do.
The only thing that would prevent you from coming to the board is if it's something that falls under the guidelines of being staff approved.
Okay.
In that case, you could go through Jason, and I would suggest you propose to him what you're going to do anyway, and he can tell you if it's something he can approve or if it needs to come before the board for approval.
Right. So we're just we're not changing the facade. We did bring some pictures, just kind of doors,
Sure.
putting windows back where they were. Somebody had. Do you want to see them?
Yeah, if you'll put them there in the middle, they can project them up for everybody to see.
Oh, downwards? No.
Face up. But you don't want us to see it.
Oopsies. So that's the front of the house now.
So just to give you a background on this specific house, we've already applied for the permit. There was a bunch of unpermitted work that was done prior to us purchasing it. Mm-hmm. And so the guy who owned it got several stop work orders and then eventually just left town.
And then we bought it.
So we bought it from him, and we're kind of picking up where he left us.
Right.
So this is the front. That's loud. And then this is the side now. So we just want to put windows back where they were, but so there's no windows now.
Gotcha.
Here's the other side. And then these are kind of proposed drawings of what the house will look like. So front, sides,
And we want to add a porch to the, or a deck to the back.
So other side, and then here's the back. So when we met with Jason, we're kind of, our permits are being held up by needing certificates of appropriateness. So for the doors, windows, and siding, so it's just plywood on the sides now, which is kind of where the gray area, weren't quite sure what needed to be done.
Well, the biggest thing, Jason can meet with you and kind of instruct you on that I see right off the bat is the fact the windows would, if you're gonna put them back in the same locations, they need to be more or less the same sizes of what was there. Unless that gets approved by the board, changing the sizes and all that. So that's kind of the difference between getting a staff approval and.
Yeah, so we're not really sure what was there, other than we have some trash in the yard. There were some aluminum windows in the yard.
Yeah, but I meant as far as the window openings.
Yeah, we don't really know.
You don't really know.
There's not holes.
No, there was, he took the windows out
Gotcha.
and replaced all of he took the siding off, it's pine novelty, which we're prepared to put back.
Yeah.
But he took those off, and so we're not exactly sure. And then the inside he changed sort of awkwardly, that we're gonna have to fix that. No, you don't care about the inside, but so we have to work with that though.
Well, ideally, Jason can tell you more, but the board, and based on our guidelines, would want the house to resemble more or less what it did, since it is a historic structure. And you've got a bit of a dilemma if they've taken everything out and they've covered it over. But often you're going to find clues, and generally speaking, you would have had like a double hung 2/2 or something like that window, which would have been about 30 inches by 5 feet or something in that average based on that size house, because it's more or less a bungalow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's,
I mean, so we kind of figured that, and that's what I drew, was just kind of what we figured was there.
yeah.
Well,
A window, and then the windows on this.
none of the windows shown remotely resemble what would have originally been there.
They don't.
No, well, let's see, they're short, kind of horizontal proportioned, and they're sliders. The double hung would have been like a sash over a sash, more like what you'd see in the neighborhood. If you take a look at other structures, you're going to see the proportions we're talking about.
Okay.
Yes, the house directly next to us has been
Yeah.
fully finished. So
And the exception to that would be bathrooms and kitchens, of course. Wouldn't have had tall windows, and they would have had shorter windows.
Okay.
But, that's the kind of thing where, like I said, Jason can kind of help you with that as far as talk, if you could see a floor plan or something like that, it's pretty easy to kind of figure out where the windows used to be.
Yeah.
And usually you can tell from the framing too. I don't know how much you've gutted it or what, but
Yeah, we can actually. I think we might be able to tell from the framing.
yeah, that's what I would look at. Is it for sure?
He did completely.
Well, you may,
Whatever 2x4s he used in the wall are gonna be new versus. the
Yeah, he
original.
did
So if you
completely
take the drywall
redo
off, you should
the
be
two
able
by
to see.
fours.
but if we can
It's got it inside.
Oh, it is? And you
Yeah,
can
he
tell from
he
the-
rebuilt it inside as well. So there might be one header. I can remember one header,
Uh-huh.
and that's it.
Yeah,
Shouldn't there be master set platforms for all those houses?
no.
they would only show the front, which the front, what the
So if we found a similar house, could we just kind of use that? Because there's tons
Yeah.
that are like it.
Yeah, if there's a similar house to it, that's what I would do if you're really in doubt about what was there.
I mean, the next door neighbor, the house to the right, has all the original.
Because
windows.
generally, those type of houses, they didn't vary a lot in plan or
Right.
form, or, they were just they're varying versions of the same house, basically. So that's what I would look at. But generally, you're gonna have a window in every bedroom, which needs to be those proportions in order to make egress.
Right.
And a window in the bathroom and a window in the kitchen. And, like I said, things can change, because you're talking about the sides and back elevation, but you want to stay consistent with the architecture of the neighborhood and the neighbors,
Right.
so that it blends. And
Okay.
like I said, there may be exceptions to that, but those are the kind of things Jason can kind of help you with.
So if we can figure that out and then buy the materials that are approved by you all in general, then we can potentially.
Well, what you would need to do is to mark up, like you've got drawings of each elevation, to show what you're proposing, and he can tell you whether or not that can be staff approved or whether or not
Okay.
it needs to come back to us.
Okay.
The same with the materials.
Yeah.
Don't buy them before.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, we
Yeah,
we did talk to
generally-
the people that know
Yeah.
a little.
Yeah, generally,
We asked.
there are restrictions on some of the materials too, because
Yeah, like he said, we should do wood clad windows because they were originally, I'm sure they were wood windows.
they would have been wood windows,
Yeah.
correct, yeah.
So we're fine with whatever materials are approved. You know, money's not an issue. Time obviously is. So
Yeah.
that's what we want to just get it.
Well,
Whatever we can do to speed it up. If it costs more money, we're okay with that.
I would recommend you go through Jason, and like I said, if you guys are really, really in a rush, in the time period between getting it approved and having the historic board meeting, which is generally 30 days, but of course you've got to find the materials and you've got to get drawings together too. If you get into a real big rush, there can always be a special meeting if need be.
Okay.
And you can look around the neighborhood to see what they have, but you
Yeah.
can also use local resources like the archives, Mountain Archives, might have photos of that area from way back.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm almost certain the house to the right has all of the original windows. I know they're wood, and it's very similar. So I think we can probably
Yeah, that's what I would use as a guide if you really can't tell from the
Okay.
inside.
And then just kind of sketch it up in a similar.
Sketch it up, and like I said, your first step would be to kind of meet with him and talk him over, and he can kind of give you some advice and basically answer your question about is it something that needs to come before the board.
okay.
Yeah, most likely it will, but like
Okay.
I said,
So
if you're just putting back what you think was there based on what was the evidence and what the neighbors had, that's something you can talk about him, because I'm not sure if he could. I think you could approve side and back. Is that correct? In certain situations.
Mr. Chairman, if the existing openings were there and they were proposing wood clad, I would approve it at the staff level because it's the type of material the board has
Right.
recommended, and they're not changing the openings. With the
Right.
closed openings, it's a question of finding or showing that you're maintaining or reopening those original openings to, I guess, staff satisfaction.
It's kind of a gray area.
I don't think the material is an issue since they've said that
Yeah.
they would use the wood clad.
It's more about evidence of where the openings were. And
well, we can also look and see when he purchased it if there were. You can go into the MLS.
Yeah, we'll do some research. We
Yeah,
come up
that's
with-
We might be able
a
to
good
find
place
out what
to
it
look.
was. Yeah,
Okay.
in the MLS
Yeah.
when he bought it originally. We might be able to find what it was. Okay.
okay.
Thank you so
That answers
much.
our
Good luck.
questions. Thank you.
Okay. That brings us to old business. Ms. Thomas?
Petition HP-19-70, Elliott Larkin, Larkin Rentals 2, LLC owner. Revision to an approved certificate of appropriateness for new construction of 2 duplexes with an application for modification of the front setback and the first floor building height. Location at 516 Northwest First Street. These buildings will be non-contributing to the Pleasant Street Historic District.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. Back in October, you saw a petition, this COA, petition HP-19-70, to build 2 duplexes adjacent to each other. There was one tax parcel number. They went through the lot split process to split that parcel into 2. The idea was to build a duplex on each lot with the shared wall along the property line that was created with the lot split. So that this common wall would be on the property line. You'd have 2 units on the south property, 2 units on the north property. So this was the original parcel back then, roughly 516 Northwest First Street, with the tax parcel. The property is zoned DT, or downtown. It's one of our transect zones. And each of the created lots is about 41.5 feet by 100 feet each. There's the lot split survey. So here's the location of the two lots here as it currently stands. So this was what was approved. You see down the middle here was the lot line. So the building, or the two duplexes would share this one wall down the middle. There would be a driveway on each side of the building, providing access to the back where there would be parking for the residents. Well, now they came in, looked for building permits to get started on the work. During that process, the building department indicated that because of the connection of the two, they would consider this a multifamily building. And because, per the building code, and because it would be considered a multifamily building, Public Works said, well, if that's the case, then we need stormwater retention somewhere on the lot. The lots are relatively small, so with the parking needed for the area, there wouldn't be room. I guess it was determined that there wouldn't be adequate room for stormwater unless you did something wildly expensive like underground or something like that. So I think to solve that issue, they decided to split the building so that it's now two separate buildings on one building on each lot. The design has changed so that there'd be driveway access down the middle between the two lots, and then parking over here and over here for the residents. Now, at the time of back in October, the board did approve the requested modification of the front setback from 15 feet to 13 feet 6 inches. They're still requesting that same setback modification. So again, here's each individual duplex. This one would be addressed 518 and 520 Northwest First Street. Over here would be 514 and 516 Northwest First Street. I guess south is this way and north is to the right, to your right. This was the original structure with the east or the front elevation that was approved in October. So with the split, this would be how each structure would look now. Now, I will say the architectural details, including the details that the board discussed and made as a condition during the October meeting, those remain the same. But I'll get to that a little later. So now here's the proposed front elevations. You can imagine down the middle here would be the driveway accessing the parking in the back. So for the northern duplex at 518 and 520, this was the original elevation. This is the proposed elevation. It's basically the same. So basically the north elevation wouldn't change from what you saw in October. This is the rear. This was the original rear elevation approved in October. Here's the rear elevation for the northern duplex at 518 and 520, and here's the rear elevation for 514 and 516. They basically just split the original building down the middle with adjustments to the roof line. Now this is the south elevation of the northern duplex, or this was where the common wall was that was matched to the other duplex. So with that, they've added some windows on this elevation because now it's open. The proposed floor plans are generally the same as what they were before. You know, the first and second floor plan. So for the southern duplex at 514 and 516, this was the original elevation you saw in October. And again, with maybe just a minor adjustment to the rear windows here, it's generally the same as it was before. And this is the north elevation of that southern duplex. Again, this was the side where that was attached to the other duplex, and they've added windows in that area. Again, here's the floor plans, the general location within the Pleasant Street district, and the description of the units is again the same as it was prior. Each duplex will have roughly a little over 3,000 square feet, with 1,269 square feet of conditioned space on each floor. There's a porch area, balconies. Each unit will be 3 bedrooms, 3 baths. They're requesting the front setback encroachment modification of 1.5 feet. And also the other requested modification was that the first floor building height, I think DT requires a 12-foot minimum building height, and the request here, since this is a residential unit, would be to 10 feet. So staff recommendation is that, seeing that the revised plans have incorporated the conditions that the board applied to the original petition in the October meeting, and some of those conditions included the use of 1/1 windows instead of the prairie-style windows that they had shown with those original drawings. They've incorporated the straight columns on the second floor instead of, I guess they weren't straight, or they were different in the original drawings. And they're showing ordinary glass in the front doors instead of frosted glass. Those were the conditions the board applied in October. Those are shown in these revised drawings. So staff is recommending approval of the revised petition HP-19-70 with the condition that notify staff of any changes during construction. The applicants are here to speak to the matter, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Comments or questions of the board?
Was that the roof pitch that was approved before? Seems like there's a lot of roof missing in this.
Well, it's because it doesn't go up.
Well, it had to change because obviously they split it.
Right.
I mean, maybe they can
It
tell
appears to
you.
be the same. It's just not going up in the middle any longer.
Yeah.
And my sense is that's gonna look like a 2 and 12 pitch from the ground. What is the pitch on that?
It's a 5/12 pitch.
Yeah.
Now that they're narrower houses, 512 is a bit low for the area.
That is exceptionally low.
Yeah.
Generally, something like that would be at least a 7. 7 to 9 would be more typical of the buildings in the area. 5 is definitely below.
Yeah.
Anything in that area at all.
Okay. Any other comments or questions?
The, dark bronze windows, does that mean they're metal?
No, that doesn't mean they're metal.
They're not dark bronze anymore. That must have been an old drawing.
Okay.
It's just going to be white,
White.
Okay.
white vinyl.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the description on the agenda, I apologize.
Okay. Am I reading correctly that from the interior wall to the middle of the property line, the common property line is 7'4"? So we're about 15 feet apart between the two. Okay.
From middle to middle.
Yeah, that's actually not bad in that neighborhood.
Will there be any softscape on either side of the driveway, down the driveway, or is the driveway gonna come right up to the?
It looks like there's room for that if you look at the site
Yeah.
plan. Yeah, it's shown, something is. You got about 3 feet or more there. Any other questions for the applicant?
The asymmetry of the two roof lines looks a little odd, but it's fine.
Well, they're basically mirror houses, which have happened
Well,
before.
I mean the front porch roof
Yeah.
to the actual house roof.
Well, that's,
It's-
actually increasing the pitch of it would help that.
Yeah.
It's got 2 pitches on it, which is, I understand in the original version, because the footprint was so wide, you couldn't do a steep pitch because it'd be too tall. But now that it's narrower, and I think you could pull off the steeper pitch easier.
I have one other question, and maybe it's just, this is so tiny in my old eyes, but I'm a little confused by this window situation here on the ground floor.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Which one?
The one right below the French doors. What's that deal? Because there's the door. Why is that drawn like that?
I don't know.
See what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Is that like a short transom and a double window? What is that?
The side light to the door.
But that's not a door. The door is to the left, or is that?
It's a
another door?
duplex.
Pardon me?
There's
Each
2 doors.
building
Oh,
is a
that's the
duplex.
interior. Okay, okay.
2 doors.
Are you comfortable with the short transom like that next to the door?
No, that's not a transom.
It's a side
What
light.
is it? I
Side
mean,
light.
side light?
It happens.
Yeah, I
That's
don't know
okay.
an example of a double hung unit being there. Typically, a side light to the door would be referred to as a frontispiece, with the side light being part of the assembly. So, you do not typically see a double hung sash window there right immediately.
Yeah, so that's a sash window next to the door, not a side light.
That's the way
We're happy to remove that if you need to.
Well, I'm just bringing it up. It looks a little off balance to me.
Well, I think, if I remember correctly, that was really about trying to get light back into the unit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense, but
What about the idea of it just being
a side light.
a side light, solid glass, fixed glass? So it looks like, a side light.
one unit,
Sure.
are you okay with that?
Hmm.
That would make me more comfortable.
Yeah, and then I think it maintains the light back the way you need it. Of course, now you've got side windows, that helps too.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So the 2 issues so far that we brought up would be increasing the roof pitch to what? 712?
Well, what's the, cause I can't read it on this if it's 5, 6, or 8. What's the pitch of the,
Front gable?
812.
8, 12?
Yeah.
Would that be too high?
Probably if you,
It's not that,
conceivably,
it's
if
just
you
the
worked out to
timing,
where there
the
were
way it's
all,
pitched.
at least 7, and just make most of them.
Make them both 7. That would look better. Okay. We'll see if we can do that.
Yeah. I think that'd be fine. Yeah. Okay, and then making the side light fixed glass as opposed to an operable window.
Yeah, that sash would have to be tempered glass anyway, so.
Yeah. Okay.
So what's the new pitch?
Hmm?
The new pitch?
7.
712. Okay, any comments from the audience? Any further board comment? Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Is that the motion?
No, you have to read the
Oh, I have to,
you have to read the number,
that.
then you
No,
have to
it's
talk
way too
about
much
any
pressure.
Motion.
Way too much pressure.
attached.
Motion to approve petition HP 19-00070, with conditions of changing to a side light and increasing the roof pitch to an 812. 7:12. My bad.
All right, second.
Second.
Okay, any further comment? Okay. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? What?
It's gonna be pretty.
And thank
Nice
you.
plan. It's gonna be real nice.
Okay, so,
All right, on to new business. Petition HP 19-103, Bradley Hunter, owner. Certificate of appropriateness for the construction of a single-family house located at 725 Northwest 4th Street. This building will be a non-contributing structure to the Pleasant Street Historic District.
Chairman, board members. This property is on 4th Street. It's in an area that's undergone new construction in the past couple of years. You can kind of see the new house directly to the south that Mr. Hunter brought to you with a COA somewhere back in 2018. So this is a different style, but similar circumstances. It's 725 Northwest 4th Street. Property is zoned RC, residential conservation. It's about 0.09 acres in size. This is the survey. The lot under question is right here. If you recall, the house that's going up here, the issue there was they had to move it back further because they wanted to save a couple of the trees, and so that's looks like it's almost finished. These are the site plan and floor plans. So the lot is 44 feet wide by 126 feet in depth, about 5,544 square feet. The minimum front setback is 10 feet. So what they're proposing here is 21 feet. Again, this is I believe a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom structure. These are the elevations. This is obviously the front elevation facing 4th Street, and the rear is down here. The house will be approximately 1,983 square feet of conditioned space. So here's some of the neighboring properties along 4th Street. This is the view across the street and to the south. This is the view across the street and into the north. This is the view of the subject property looking east into it from 4th Street. And then these are the adjacent properties south of there. You see these two recently constructed houses. And these are just some more pictures of the neighboring properties in that area. So the house will be 1,983 square feet, conditioned space, the RC zoning. It's a 2-story structure, proposing 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. We'll be using architectural shingles. This is the location within the overall Pleasant Street area. It's in Zone A of the district. So the style that's proposed is a Victorian era structure. The proposal is generally consistent with the physical character of the district. Has a moderate setback on an average size lot. It's facing the primary street. It's a wood frame house with proposing architectural shingles, a stem wall foundation, a front porch supported by brick-cladded piers. There would be cased columns on the front porch and hardy plank siding with hardy trim details. All of the windows proposed will be silver lined by the Anderson V3 series, although there is and you probably can't see it on elevations, but right here, they are proposing a stained glass window feature in this gable end here. Staff finds that the proposal is compatible with the existing rhythm of the street. The height proposed, it's a new two-story structure, it'd be approximately 30 feet in height. The two-story structure next door to the south that received a COA in January of well, basically a year ago, January of 2019. The proposed height for that house to the peak of the roof was 31 feet. Let's see. The roof forms are a mix of front and side gables, so this proposal is compatible, as is the shingle roofing. The proposal faces 4th Street and provides a front porch, so it maintains the rhythm of entrances and porches. As far as the scale of the building, it's compatible with nearby structures in terms of massing and size. And actually, the proposed square footage is smaller than the average size new home constructed in the United States at this time. The directional expression is compatible with the district. And the proposed new structure has compatible height with its adjacent neighbors and a proposed width that's not out of scale with structures throughout the district. And then we reviewed the proportion of openings and the rhythm of solids to voids. So with that, the staff is recommending approval of petition HP-19-103 with the following conditions: that the windows utilize the simulated divided light grills for the chosen 3/1 and 2/1 grill pattern. There's also a few horizontal sliders also in there that would also be the Anderson V3 series. Provide information sheets for the proposed architectural shingle roof system and notify staff of any changes during construction. I'll be happy to answer any questions. I'm not sure if anybody's here I knew that might be an issue of somebody coming, but.
Okay. All right, do we have any questions of staff from the board?
What's that what you feel about the window in the stairwell? When you see the outside elevation?
Well, what about it's vinyl, right? The
They're all
silver line.
vinyl.
There.
I just mean, visually.
Yep.
That's what I mean, that's the one I'm talking about.
It's the transom up above. The
Yeah,
transom.
it's just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and even the one on the lower one, they have almost right next to each other, 2/1 and then a 3/1.
Yeah.
Why can't they both be 3/1?
I think they probably can't clear the pitch of the stairs,
Yeah,
maybe, which is why
probably.
they have the 2/1 there. But,
I don't think that has anything to do with it.
you know,
Is stained glass something normally found in that neighborhood?
this is,
Because he said there was a stained glass element, right?
No, on
that's
the
on the
Victorian.
front, that's on the gable.
Yeah, only on the gable, and really this isn't quite a Victorian, it's just turn of the century inspired.
I don't think that'll be an issue though.
No,
It'll be pretty.
the only thing, the only question I had,
At all.
Jason, and I'm not sure you would know the answer because it's not showing up on the drawings, is what the roof pitch is.
I don't have that particular information.
Once again, it looks like it's fairly low for this style of house.
That's maybe 7,
I think.
7 or 8. Well, that's more than 6.
Okay. All right, it's probably 7 then.
Do you want to increase it?
Probably verify it.
It's new construction.
I mean, there are certainly structures in that neighborhood that have that roof pitch, so I'm not worried about it. I'm just saying if you're trying to emulate that style of house, you need to do the correct things, so.
Yeah.
Let's just not call it a Victorian.
Victorian inspired.
Okay. Any further comments from the board? Other than that window?
No, I agree that window over the double hung sash looks totally out of character.
I would think you could just get a taller window in that
Yeah,
location.
either taller window or
Yeah,
or delete the one above.
yeah, because it is awkward.
And then if they can do a 3/3 instead of a 2/2 on that lower level in the
Yeah.
general one,
Well,
at
they
least
can.
that's,
They can.
They can.
now I'm huge, I'm 11 with an 1,000.
Okay, any comments from the audience? Okay. All right, would anybody on the board like to make a motion?
I'd like to
There aren't many of us, so somebody's got to do it.
Well, we should share.
I'd like to see different
Well,
windows that
Liz, you wanted to make a motion.
I'm desperately trying to reduce my 6,000 enlarged thing.
We'll help you.
She's in micro version.
Am I making a motion?
Yep.
Awesome, okay. I'd like to make a motion that 190825 HP 19-70-01072020.
I think you might be on this
190826. Am I looking at the wrong one? Okay. HP 19103.
Correct.
There you go. Be approved pending changes to the window in the stairwell that shows with the transom and converting the 2/2 to a 3/3 on the ground floor.
3/1.
3/1, sorry.
3/1.
And do we want confirmation of the roof pitch? Just, no.
No.
It's fine.
Okay. Did I do that right?
It's
Yeah,
not.
Good job.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Mr. Simmons?
I just want you to point out to me which windows you're talking about.
If you look at the upper left-hand elevation,
This one?
that's there's the staircase window at the top. It's
This-
got the transom above the window below it.
This
It'd be
one?
better if that were just a tall window and not a separate window on top of it.
Or delete the upper window.
That's what I'm talking about, yeah.
So either
Either just delete
get
it
rid of it or extend it
or
into
go to a
one
taller
window.
window in that location, because it's created a situation that doesn't occur anywhere else in the house.
Right, and then something about the first floor.
Well, the 2/2, 2/1 sashes that occur in the staircase don't occur anywhere else in the house.
On the north elevation.
Yeah, so there should be 3/1 to match.
Let's see.
Go up. The window that's abutting the down, left, the left.
The stair windows again.
Go
I
up,
have
go
it
up,
written down.
up to the upper elevation.
I know.
This
There, now go left with your little light. Keep going left. There, that window needs to be a 3/1.
As does the one at the top of the stair too, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They both need-
Yep.
Yep.
And without the weird.
So this should be 3/1 and this should be 3/1 as well.
To be consistent
extended.
with the rest of the windows. Yeah. I think those are the only two, is that correct? Okay.
Yeah. So we're saying 3/1 without the transom on the stairwell window, correct?
Correct.
Correct, okay.
Okay. Understand? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, no further comment, then, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. I think we should all have laser pointers. That'll be interesting.
That one.
Alrighty. All right, petition HP-19-108, Richard Kurtz and Sandra Matasic. Owners, certificate of appropriateness for the replacement of a garage door located at 214 Northeast 9th Avenue. This building is a non-contributing structure to the Northeast Residential Historic District.
That's this. Mr. Chairman, board members, got a preview of this last month when Board Member Warner discussed some of the issues with the proposal. So the location here is at 214 Northeast 9th Avenue. So the existing contributing structure, the house here, is a two-story wood frame, weatherboard covered colonial revival house that represents a typical house of the 20s in Gainesville. The house is a contributing structure to the Northeast District. It appears on the Sanborn map of 1928. Now, again, this is in the Northeast, or the Duck Pond area. Built according to Property Appraiser's Office in 1925. Now, the garage is seen back here. This is not shown on our maps. It's a non-contributing structure, but it does appear on the Sanborn map of 1928. So this is a closer-up view of some of the recent work that had been done on the structure. Now, when this Google Street View picture was taken, you can kind of see it used to have a traditional garage door. And now work had commenced. The part of, and let me show you this, and here's a view from the street of what the front elevation, I think, looks like currently. So what's happening is the applicants are converting the garage into an artist studio. So they were to remove the existing overhead door and infill the wall with wood studs and horizontal siding to match the existing siding on the garage. There would also be a door to provide access into the building, and two small windows would be added to add natural light into the newly converted space. Now, prior to the COA application, work began on the conversion of the inside of the garage into the artist studio. This led eventually to the installation of a door on the west side of the structure and two small fixed frame windows as indicated by the pictures. However, the applicants were made aware of the need for a COA and determined that the layout of the added door and windows was not the best layout for the circumstances. The view of the garage from Northeast 9th Avenue is enough to see, the added door in this new elevation. So the new plans proposed would move the door to the eastern side of the garage over here and away from a highly visible view. The windows would be switched over to the west side over here, and that's sort of what you were seeing last month. And the siding below the windows would be inset to look like typical panels on a garage door. So from the street, this part of the garage front will look more like an existing garage door, thus maintaining the general view that people have of the property. So that's sort of what the proposed elevation would be for the south elevation, for the structure. So this section references the guidelines concerning porte cocheres and garages. So the garage is not attached to the contributing principal structure. The proposed materials and textures are consistent with the principal building. The garage is suitable for conversion to an artist studio because of the building features that it has. The integrity of the garage will be maintained in this adaptive use project. And we feel the new addition, this conversion, this addition will be consistent with Standard 9. New additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction shall not destroy historic materials that characterize the property. The new work shall be differentiated from the old and shall be compatible with the massing, size, scale, and architectural features to protect the historic integrity of the property and its environment. So with the amended elevation that's included here, staff is recommending approval of petition HP-19-108 with the following conditions. That the converted garage cannot be used as an accessory dwelling unit, which is not an allowed use in the RSF2 zoning district. No range stove or oven shall be installed in the converted garage, and notify staff of any changes during construction. That's sort of a typical comment we make for work on a sort of accessory structures in this area with the typical RSF2 or RSF3 zoning in the area. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have, and I believe the property owners are here to speak to the question, to speak to the matter as well.
Sure. Yes, if you come up and sign in and just state your name.
So we were recommended to make it look like a garage, but the building sits so far off the street and most of it is behind the house. We were wondering, and we positioned the door on that side so that it would meet a closet for storage. So we wouldn't be running through the whole garage into the closet, and it was the most reasonable place to put the closet. We didn't know if there was a reason that the door can't face the street. It is not a historical door. We chose something that looked nice, and we can change that and possibly the windows to look more historical and put some shutters on them. I have a picture of a house just within walking distance that I thought might be more appropriate than making it look like a garage. The garage it burnt down in the 70s and they reconstructed it, and it's quite frankly ugly to us. But we want to make something that looks nice and falls within the requirements of the district. So may I?
If you set it down in the middle, they'll project
Okay.
it up.
So this is a local house off 10th,
Right.
and it has a door and some windows on the side. And we thought if we did something like this, where the door looked more historical and the window as well, a single hung window. I have specifications of it and some shutters on the side of it.
Comments?
Have you determined that it is, you need to maintain the outline of the garage door as opposed to just simply making it,
Take that off.
abandoning the garage look and just taking the siding, which, just getting rid of that edge of the door.
Sure, we could
and
do
making
that.
it look like an outbuilding, not a remodeled garage.
Yeah.
And
I would
extend
That
the siding
bothers me
across.
there. I think you're going the right direction, but could look appropriate if you were able to ditch that outline.
Okay,
That would fix a lot of the issues, because there's a lot of guest houses and cottages behind houses like that. But the whole outline of it is very odd.
Yeah, the door.
okay.
Yeah.
I personally like this better.
Yeah.
Well,
I do
yeah,
too.
however, I would say that the door that's in our depiction here would be more appropriate than what's depicted there. The
Is-
half
Do you
round
think-
is, is a much more contemporary look.
Yeah.
The,
This one?
the door,
That's the one that's in the current drawing.
yeah,
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 but
that,
current
that would be a
drawing
good,
Yeah.
that would look great.
But is that decoration?
No.
More common?
No, there, the small lights in a row over two panels would be, or
So
a
switch
single
out the
panel
door
like that.
to the more
Yeah,
historical
Right.
with the,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, those would be appropriate. The half round is a much more contemporary look.
It's 1980s look, yeah.
Yeah,
oh, it is.
yeah.
So keep it with the old door,
No,
or,
No, the door that is in the depiction before us is a door light over two panel.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's
What
this.
is this?
I think it's the door they
Two
have
panel.
now. I think it's the one
Well,
they have
okay,
right
it
now.
doesn't look, that, what's there now doesn't look like that.
that one? Is that more historical?
Yeah, in this array of depictions
Okay.
before us.
So you'd wanna be more like this.
Yeah, this is the one that's in the drawing.
This is the
Yeah,
one
okay,
drawing.
all right, all right.
So it's basically just a wood door, and on top, six little
The-
panels of
The
glass.
three over
Very-
a single panel
simple.
would be,
Okay.
would look appropriate.
Something simple, yeah.
Yeah,
Very
Simple, straightforward,
Okay.
You have,
not contemporary looking.
you have a picture of it here, I can read off the number of the door, would that be helpful, and then you know what door we're talking about?
Because we're looking at the door charts.
We're
with
looking at the door
pictures,
chart with the actual,
pictures of the different doors. You don't have that in front of you.
so I'm saying if you, we could write down the number of the door that we're actually talking about, if that would be helpful for you.
yes, that would be great.
Okay, I was gonna ask what the panel was to the right, but I think we just solved that
We solved
issue.
that.
Yeah.
The other comment, if we could go back to your picture again. If you're going to put shutters on it, because I know the house has shutters, the shutters would need to be proportional to the window. That's the
Yes.
only comment.
Okay,
But you know, I think this is a big improvement over the fake garage
better
door.
than the garage, yeah. It is, it's cuter. Yeah,
Did you guys
thank,
get the number for that door?
Yeah, I'm gonna,
We're writing it on.
I'm
our
now
side.
writing down the manufacturer number.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
okay,
I think we're all in
Thank
agreement
you.
that that would
that
work.
was,
Isn't the brown one the 6-2?
It's the 608, FCM 608 is the,
Yeah. The low E.
Yeah.
oh, okay. So this is the door,
this is the door we're talking about, because we've got pictures of them up there.
okay.
I mean, you must have it somewhere, because I think it had your other
So
door.
this is the door.
No, if we just
That's
get
the
to go with what we said.
Santa maybe?
Okay, any comment from the public? Okay, seeing none, whose turn is it to make a motion?
It's yours.
No, I don't make motions.
Must be me. My turn.
It's your turn.
Okay, HP 19-10-108. Move to approve, as discussed, eliminate the garage opening look, go with the door that we have identified here, and the window with shutters that look more appropriate to that window proportion,
And other staff recommendations.
Right,
as well as the other staff recommendations.
okay.
So since we don't have her drawing on our proposal,
She needs to give a copy of that to Jason,
Jason,
And then you can approve it.
so,
Okay.
so it can go in the record.
did we indicate that we're removing the garage?
Yes.
Yeah,
We did.
that was stated.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carries. Thank you.
Thank you, that's much better.
Big improvement.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll be sure and tell Cooley that, he came out okay.
Petition HP 19-112, Sarit Sella, agent for the city of Gainesville. Local landmark nomination for the placement of the Masonic Lodge number 41 on the local register of historic places, located at 215 North Main Street. This building is listed on the National Register of Historic Places.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Sarit Sela. So this is the continuation of a discussion that we started last month. Last month we came with an informal item, informational item, and today you have the nomination package with you. We do not have a new presentation, but we have last month's presentation available if you want to discuss or review anything. We have Yvette Thomas and Jason Simmons to help with any questions about the procedure or any questions that you may have. Thank you.
My question is, what did this property close? What's it?
It's not closed yet, I think.
Okay. I would make a motion to support the nomination.
Second.
okay, we have a nomination, a motion to nominate.
And hear from the audience.
What's that?
Hear from the audience. before I
Yeah,
vote.
yeah. Well, and we have a second, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Any comment from the audience? Yes.
Good evening. I'm Kathleen Pagan. I'm a citizen of Gainesville.
Could you sign in, please?
Sign in, yes. Can speak here too?
Yes.
I have one question about the procedure. The agenda notes that you need a 6/9 vote, 6 out of 9, and only 5 members are present. So is that a majority of the persons present, or you must have 6 out of 9? And then I have some comments as well.
Sure.
And staff can answer that. So it's more so a majority of members present.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, I am staff to the Alachua County Historical Commission. However, I cannot really speak on behalf of the group. They have not taken any formal action. In past years, individual members of the group have tried to work with the Masons to ensure preservation of the building. And I can say as a citizen, I support preservation of the building. I know that Decatur, Georgia, their Masonic Lodge is a very important part of their downtown walkable streetscape. And it's just a very important building in Gainesville. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other further comment from the audience? Okay, we have a motion on the table. We have a second. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. So I think the next step is for us to go to the plan board.
Planning board? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, one other comment I wanted to make again for the record, like I did last time. I did receive a call for the potential buyer again with questions, and I referred him to the building department, and because I told him, I couldn't talk about the subject as long as it's being considered for nomination. But he did share with me, oh, that's not a problem because our attorney has talked to the city commissioners, so. I said, fine, I still can't talk to you, so. So anyway, just for the record.
At least it didn't go down there.
Mr. Chairman, I believe I also talked to the potential buyer this afternoon
Yeah.
as well.
Okay.
What's the timeline? How long will it take to get it?
So we're actually have it placed on the January 23rd City Plan Board agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And so once City Plan Board makes a recommendation for that, it will then be scheduled for the City Commission, and that's just to be determined.
And if any of you would like to, it's good for us to be there to support them. Yeah. January
On
6th.
the
Is that,
23rd?
when,
It's
what?
January 23rd in this room at 6:30.
6:30, okay.
Okay. All right, onward, and thank you, Sari.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. That was our last item, so, correct?
Yes.
Okay, informational items? None? Okay, board member comment. I'd like to make some board member comment for a change. And this is in reference to a project the board voted on, I think, this last year. And this would be next to the Firestone building, the property where the old historic Ford dealership was, the 238 West building.
To the east or west of the Firestone building?
It would be to the east,
East.
which is now a very large vacant lot reminiscent of when University Corners was to be built, and then it ended up tearing down a number of historic structures, and it sat there forever. Once again, we have a big development project that is not going to happen, and the lot is for sale. So here we go again. And I'm wondering, we worry so much about demolition by neglect. Is there anything we can do to stop demolition by developers speculating? Because we've lost several historic structures, which unfortunately none of which were in a historic district, but we still have lost them. In that particular building, we even waived the delay for the construction, and we were told we couldn't even see the building or go in it by the developer, who had an engineer say it was structurally unsound because one of the bar owners had cut one of the joists. Well, that cut joist had been that way for 20 years. So not letting us in the building just was insult to injury, as a matter of fact. But all we could have done was delay it because there was no protection for it. But the reality of it is, here we go again, big empty lots. This one's right smack in the middle of downtown with a big for sale sign, meaning nothing's going to happen there for a while because it probably has a big price tag on it. So it's similar to what we had happen with University Corners all over again.
We talked about this last time when we were talking about the Masonic Lodge and the fact that these historic structures don't have a designation. Can we make a list of buildings like the Firestone building, for example, and propose the list to the city commission and hopefully just get them designated locally, even if they're not in a district, as a historic structure?
If we cannot get a district in place, which needs to be really done to protect the historic structures we do have in the downtown area, then that would be the fallback, to aggressively pursue getting them on the local register. But we all know politically that's really difficult to do. And, but the problem really needs to be brought to the attention of the commission, because we're going to continue to lose more downtown structures as more developers come in from all over and want to build things in our downtown. And what we're going to get in replace of these historic structures is not necessarily what we want, and we have no say in it. That is the problem.
If they have a master site file form, which I know a lot of them don't, but if they have a master site file form and are even eligible but not listed, then we can put a delay on them.
Right.
So I know Marty's been working with the modern structures. I think that once we have a planner in place, we should make a list of all this and sit down with them in a special meeting. Hopefully it's me.
Like the Fortitude and all these other buildings.
All these other buildings are not protected yet. That is the problem.
That was no protection at all.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yep. But anyway, this just brings up the point again, and I just drove by another empty lot with a for sale sign where there used to be a historic structure that had potential. And it's really sad that we have to keep repeating this. So anyway, I'm preaching to the choir, I know. But anyway, board comment.
Oh, yes, Mr. Simmons, is there any sense, we've all heard about the possible separation of GRU and what that would mean to city budget, but as far as finding a planner, that's still on track, right? preservation officer.
Yes, so we have submitted a list to HR, and so we just have to get the interview questions approved, get dates scheduled, and so we should be proceeding hopefully within the next week or so with interviews.
You got any real world projection on timetable here?
Once we've completed our interview, it could take about 2 to 3 weeks thereafter for HR to kind of get through their process. But how long they kind of take, it's kind of up.
So probably talking
We don't
about
have any-
at least 3 months out.
I would hope so, yes.
Probably.
Yeah, okay, well,
So, in that time frame, we should, as a board, have a list for them of things we need to see done. And on that is downtown saving individual structures, or at least having them in
Yeah.
some way protected. What else?
Well, I think the board can start talking towards that before then. Making a list
yeah,
is a good
yeah.
thing.
yeah, we can be making
For the
headway there.
interview, I want to make sure they know I'm covered.
Okay.
Jason, were you able to get that picture that I sent you off to code compliance?
Chairman, yes. Unfortunately, the code officer was on vacation because of the holidays. I believe she's back on the 8th, which is tomorrow.
Okay.
There's a couple of, one, you weren't the only one complaining because there was another person on the block
Oh,
who
okay,
had a separate question, and then as a, by the way, somebody put up
yeah.
a god-awful thing on the property. So there were 2 complaints on
The same
that
property.
property. Right, and, we've got a couple of other things in the northeast as well that codes has been identified, has to go out and check.
Okay.
But again, the
You put
code.
in really nice landscaping, but the fence is just definite no-go.
It's the wrong material as best as I
Oh,
Yeah.
I know who that is. No one.
Did that go through?
No.
It didn't go, it's got no permits. But the problem with fencing is you don't need a building permit. But if you're in the district, you need a COA.
Correct.
Is that the property,
Education should
is
be
that
on
the
our list.
property at the corner of 8th Street, of, 3rd Street and 8th Street and 3rd Avenue?
Correct.
Yep.
Not surprising.
Okay.
I also want to say, we have 2 new homeowner buyers in here.
Mhm.
And they were asking earlier about COA and everything.
Yep.
We were talking about, we're getting a full-time preservation planner in the city, which is something we've desperately needed for years. And I think one of the things that should be a part of that is educating new homeowners and current homeowners, on what is and isn't allowed and how the process works. Because, like you guys came in here to learn, it's a very confusing process.
No, it's great. It's so great meeting.
Well, thank you.
And congratulations to you.
I'll have a lot of questions, I'm sure. But I have my parents own a couple of historic properties that are in the family, so I have a little bit of an understanding of that. So I thankfully kind of know that coming to these meetings and seeing this whole process and kind of getting to know you guys, and I talked to Jason now.
Could you come to the microphone, please?
Not to put you on the spot or
No,
anything.
you're fine. I like you on the spot. This is fun.
Hi, I'm Alex Bear. I recently purchased a house, 720 Northwest 3rd Street. I should probably learn the address. I'm actually next door neighbors to Carolyn and Megan, maybe was her name. So kind of fun when they were talking about the house to the right that sells its windows. That's mine. I've talked to Jason a couple times now too. But I'm getting ready to start the COA process and move forward with that. So I just wanted to kind of come and see the forum here and see the process for this and kind of introduce myself and get to know you all.
Great.
Yeah, so thank you.
Okay, any further comment or business? Okay, we are adjourned.